be very, very, very pointed.
Huh?
Love letters.
Yeah, it's a love letter. A love letter or a note that you can give to your
Not a card.
individual. No, it's handwritten. I have this thing where
You. Oh, thank you. Come on. Talk to your
no,
ladies.
I think that a love letter, a note handwritten is something that is beautiful. Something that you, if you could leave a little note from to your wife, and this is not on February 14th. This is throughout the year, showing them little notes that you leave around for them. Babe, have a wonderful day. I can't wait to see your smiling face when it comes to the door.
Are you saying post-its all over the place, or are you just saying
It
notes?
it's just a note that will tell you, I love you. A little like sometime you will text me during the day. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I
Hmm.
love you. Can't wait to see
So
you.
that's writing.
That is a writing. Also, when you can have a little thing where you can just say a little note that's in your handwriting to say that I love you, to say that I miss you, say that all those things that you used to say before when you used to have them when you guys were courting. What are you doing to keep this person? This person needs to know that you mean a lot to them. So with appreciation, just saying that I recognize you, I see you, I'm in love with you. Um, things are still happening for me when I see you. You put that little spark in me. It's things like that will continue to have the motivation to be in that marriage with one another, to be in that relationship with one another, and still continue to court and buy the cow if you're not already
Mm.
bought already.
Now, one of the things, as I said, we're the yin and the yang. Now, when it comes to point number two that my wife shared about love letters, now love letters are very important. Love letters are something that can help spark the mood and stuff like that. But then you don't want the love letter to be the opening for a need. If it's something that is always just pertaining to be a constant need, is like, oh, he doesn't love me because he doesn't write a love letter, or he used to write love letters to me and he doesn't write love letters to me now, and there's a problem. There has to come to a point where there is an evolution in your relationship. Now, I'm not saying that you don't do that ever so often, and my wife is totally correct. You have to have the ability to ever so often drop those nuggets and those thoughts in a tangible way to let your spouse and your partner know how you feel. Now, at the same time, as part of things to talk to my to continue to talk to my my males out there, you have the opportunity at any time to drop those little notes. Put a little note, probably like she said, send a little text, drop a little note, leave a little post-it. You know what I'm saying? Just something. It doesn't have to be big and grandiose. It doesn't have to be something that you're writing, a syllabus on. But if it's something that, if you're keeping the just fanning the flames and keeping the connection alive, then those little things become a point of emphasis within the relationship. Now, if those things are not necessarily being done in a relationship, vice versa, or however the relationship is rolling, then there's different things that have to come into play now that means we have to reaffirm the foundation. We can't expect, and now I'm talking to you ladies, you can't expect a love letter if you're not really doing what you're doing. If you can't expect something just from someone because that's what he used to do. And then, okay, now we flip it back. What did you used to do? That's not the point. I still expect my love letter. If you're coming from that standpoint, ladies, you're going to receive some resistance. I'm just keeping it real with you. You will receive resistance. And it's not that the man is falling out of love with you, or the man doesn't care for you, or the man who has already purchased a cow says, oh, this cow is, getting kind of soggy. No, he loves the cow. If he purchased the cow and he said he changed your name and he put that ring on it, he loves you. Now, there gets a point in any relationship, and that's why this title of today's show is so important about love don't cost a thing, but it does, because even with men, all these things that we're paying for right now is not with tangible money. It's just you're paying with attention. Now, if you're paying the right amount of attention and you're receiving the reciprocal amount of attention, then you won't have any problems. But where it can be off balance, when one person expects something and they're not giving it. So you can't expect something if the scales are unbalanced. Now, if the scales are balanced, then we got not perfect cornucopia or euphoria, but at least we have a stable state. Whereas this person's getting something, that person's getting something, and then there's peace in the whole.
Well, that's what it comes from, your expectations. What are you expecting from your spouse? And we don't have those conversations anymore of what we're expecting from your spouse. Um, and when we were going through our thing, the communication was so bad that we couldn't talk to each other and tell our needs to one another because we didn't really care about each other's needs. And when you get to that point, you do need a third person to step in and be a mediator between you two, because you have to realize the need of, you are there for the other person to make sure their needs are met. Because how are they going to have their needs met by someone other than you? So you got to make
Mm,
sure that you know their expectations from you. And if they're reasonable in their scope, why not? And that's the whole point when you coming in with them in the relationship, is that sometimes you have to let sometimes selfless die in you and your ego die a
mm,
little bit for you, in order for you to be able to meet the other person's
it's
needs
good.
and during that time. And when we talk about giving the little notes, it's just not lacking the appreciation for that other person, because you can lose sight
Mm,
of what that union was all about. Because what comes into play, children come into play, businesses come into play. And then when you're working with each other, which we're going to go into a little later on in another episode, about, we believe that when you are married or you're in a relationship, we believe that entrepreneurship is something that should grow out of the union, because that is where you
yes.
thrive. So we believe in that. And
We're
also,
not knocking anyone with careers or jobs.
absolutely, absolutely, because we both also have other stuff that we do. Individuals coming in into a unit. What is that defining unit, which we will go into. You have to define what your union is, and a lot of people get married and don't have a definition for their union. So to going back to what we said, the love letters, it is something, a little note you're going to leave for your mate around the house, that I love you, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be long and drawn out, but it is something that you're going to tell them. In the technology age, give them a little text. You can't wait for them to be home, especially when your wife or your husband is out 9 hours out of the day or even more. Or if he works at night and you work in the day and you don't see each other.
Two ships passing
Yeah,
in the night.
so it's work. It's You're gonna have to put in a lot of work, and we're giving you these nuggets now because it doesn't cost you anything but your time and attention. And
Mm.
what you put your attention towards grows. What you don't put your attention to does not
No,
grow.
no, say that again. Say that again. They need to hear that.
What you put your attention to will grow. What you do not put your attention to won't grow.
Very good.
So we made a point to go into the situation in our marriage because the flame had died. But you can get that flame back. That's the reason why we started a couple motivators, because we're going to connect with other couples that may be having the same little issues that we were having. But the flame can always go back if the foundation was strong. And that's very key. If your foundation is strong, for those who are not married yet, and those are in a committed relationship that's on the road to becoming married, the one thing you want to do is make sure that your foundation is strong with that individual. So that's the next thing that we're going to talk about in regards to having a foundation being strong.
Well, as my wife was just alluding to, I like the analogy when she was talking about with the flame, because basically you can tell if someone's relationship, marriage, whatever the construct of the particular apparatus is at that particular point is going through. Now, when you look at gas, you can have a clog somewhere, and it's not necessary that the flame went out. There's a clog somewhere, and that means in that pipe is there's some level of blockage, and then that blockage is not allowing, and the flame, a little bit of gas could be trying to get, yeah, like how I'm making my fist now, is a little bit of that gas is just trying to get through to keep that little spark going. But what's happening is clogged, and now what we have to deal with is to figure out where is the clog, because once we find out where the clog is, then we can alleviate what the situation is, and then the gas can flow freely. And the next thing you know, you're having back to however you say it, because I don't like to say going backwards and oh back in the day or old days what we do, but what we're supposed to do. Technically, we're not really supposed to go backwards. You're not supposed to be going backwards. What it is during the evolution of your relationship, you are supposed to keep those things, as they say, rekindled. You keep remembering. There's nothing wrong with memory. You don't go backwards. You remember those things that she may have done for you. You remember those things that you may have done for her, and vice versa. And then you take those ideas, and what happens is, regardless if children are in play and businesses are involved, or careers involved, a job or bills and everything else, you have to figure out a way. If this person is your partner for real, and we're not talking about just these lackadaisical, I just met her and she's my bae and boo and all this other stuff, and y'all trying to commingle and y'all don't have a plan. I'm talking about if you have a partner, and that's what your spouse is. If your spouse is your partner, then there are days when y'all gotta, like as my wife used to say, and I remember from the times that we may have had accidents here in the house where a sewer pipe had popped. I had
Yeah.
to put my hand in the mess.
Mm.
And there are times she got to put her hand into the mess. And it's not that you want to put your hand into the mess, but if we put our hands into the mess and release the clog, next there's stuff not backing up into the house. Now you can continue to allow stuff to back up into your relationships, and I know Cheryl's going to get into and to start to share with you part three. But this is a very poignant point. You have to understand. You have to realize that a lot of the blockages that could be occurring, regardless if it's a gas leak or a backage or a backup or whatever the case may be, if stuff is not really at the level that you feel that it should be, then after a while you have to start first, look within yourself before you even look to your spouse. Because don't think that whatever's going on is just everything is on your spouse. That's coming from a negative aspect. You have to understand that you are a partaker in this relationship as well. So that means you have something to do with what's going on. So that regardless if it's a male or female listening to us, remember that. Don't just automatically just throw blame or try to point a finger at somebody else based upon what is going right or even what is going wrong at that particular moment. And if you can figure out the vibration that you're working through and you can mitigate some of those things, believe you me, what you think is a problem can be worked out. And next you know, there's a solution to it. And you can move ever forward.
Okay.